Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Moonshot Podcast. I am Charles.
I am Liam.
And this is... So should we just jump in, or do we need an introduction?
We can do a slight introduction in terms of we can introduce each other and what we do. So, what do you consider yourself doing?
I am a potential business guy, potential writer.
Potential writer.
Okay, obsessive writer.
I mean, I was gonna say, given how much the two of us have worked on stuff.
Yeah,
potential is
writer,
pretty
world
sure.
builder, general fanatic.
Fanatic of,
Things.
Fair.
Just things in general.
And then on my side, we've got audio engineer, music producer, wannabe podcaster, I guess, in the sense that I've got this and technically I've got another podcast in theory running, kind of, maybe. Former graphic designer, ? In theory, in theory, I still do that, but I haven't done that a lot over the past years. It's all been focused on like writing and music, I do crafty things on occasion. So that's us.
Sort of. I left out a couple things.
Well, yeah, we both did.
That we'll get into. It'll come up as we go on.
Yeah. So, point of this podcast, your idea. More or less, explain it. Walk me through it again.
So the two of us have been really fed up with things going the way they are lately. And for me, it's always been a dream of mine to just take my passions and make them into a career. And so this podcast is a documentation of the story of how we're trying to do that. Mostly because, and I'm going to pull the gigantic sap card here, mostly because I can't think of anyone else that I'd rather be doing this with.
I'm making a little hard hands thing.
Hard thing.
You can see it because you're currently sitting across the table from me, but nobody else can see that.
So this first episode is
your idea was it was more or less going to be an introduction to the idea of the podcast as a whole.
Introduction to the idea of the podcast as a whole, an introduction to the format of the podcast, which we sort of drafted up
a little bit,
last night.
This is setting in the ground rules. This is what this is supposed to be.
Right. And also just sort of introducing the scenario as a whole.
Yeah.
Let's just jump in, shall we?
So yeah, you had a bunch of questions we were going to walk through.
Right, the format.
Yeah.
So part number one is where we are currently.
Okay.
You have completed a degree, correct?
I have a creative media degree. Hilariously, my main focus on that is visual art and design, and that is the thing I've done the least of out of the three specializations I have on that. My other one is in what they call sonic arts, which is mostly just sound design, music production, recording, stuff like that. And the other one is creative writing, fiction and nonfiction.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So where you are right now.
So I have a degree. I have the creative media degree. Series of ironies. I managed to make it through that program, not without a couple scars, but managed to make it through that program. I have a piece of paper that says I can do stuff.
I, on the other hand, went to the same college for about 2 years before I got struck with crippling depression.
Champlain kind of chewed us both up and spit us both out. The only difference was
you made it through. I did not make it through.
The circumstances were just a little bit more friendly on my end, I guess, in terms of me getting back up and
we're
going
not going
in.
to go into that in any detail in this podcast.
Yeah, like we both kind of went through hell our second year, and that started pushing us in
different-ish directions.
I would say different academic directions, not necessarily different life directions, because that implies that we're in our separate ways.
Yeah,
and never come back to it. We didn't really go.
I don't think we ever stopped texting.
Yeah,
after that.
It's been a constant thing. You've been stuck with me for 6 years.
6 years. Wow, it's really been that long. All right.
At this point, yes.
I dropped out of that school. Actually, first they failed out of the major that I was in, which was game design. And so I'm also kind of a computer person. Not very much, but I'm working on moving towards that.
Yeah.
I dropped out of game design and went into the same program as Liam. I then dropped out of the school entirely because it would have just taken too much to catch up, and I couldn't. It wasn't worth the effort because I wasn't learning anything. So 2 years down the road, I've gotten a little bit of training. I got a job with CVS. It's not a great job. It's a cashier job.
I mean, we both have retail jobs right now, if we're being honest. I just happen to be lucky in the sense that I'm music adjacent.
Mine was more of a victory than yours was, getting my job, because I, had to go through a job training program for... Yeah, I'll say it. I had to go through a job training for disabled kids.
Fair.
So, yeah, I am actually on the autism spectrum. Diagnosed as Asperger's, which no longer has its own diagnosis. And so after that, I got fed up with, and I started going back to school, where I discovered personal finance, where I thought it was going to be really difficult, but it turns out I actually really like it. So
you got the head for it at the very least.
I do have the head for it at the very least. So I've been working towards an accounting degree there, and the plan for that is to take over the brains of the business and also, be sort of be one of multiple creative hearts, while at the same time trying to be part of the brain as well. And I think we're going to have to do a lot of things together.
Oh yeah,
most definitely. But that's where we're sort of at right now, where we're sitting here and we're realizing, yes, this is a dream we can achieve, and yes, this is possible, even though there was a point in both our lives where we didn't think it was.
There was a point where it was we both figured it was kind of out of our reach, and lately, I guess we both had joint fits of optimism over the past year and a half at some point, and we're both like, yeah, screw all this, we can make this thing, and then we sat down and we were just like, can we? Maybe we can. If we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this.
So right now, we don't really know what we're doing, but we're attempting to forge our path.
We're trying to get to the point where we can figure out what we need to know what we're doing.
What we need to know. Yeah. So it feels feasible right now. And, so our dynamic is mostly that of whenever I'm up, you're down, and whenever you're down, you're up, I'm down, or vice versa. I said that backwards, but
still, a lot of our dynamic, it's pretty much one of us is feeling not great, and the other one of us is like, "Hey, you moron, saying that things are bad, shut the hell up. Things are great. Be happy about things," and then
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so far it's working out for us.
But it's where it works.
So on to question 2. What are we currently doing right now over this particular period to further the goal? I think it's right now, for me, it's a lot of practice. It's getting the accounting degree, specifically the associate's degree, so that I can then move to a 4-year school with it, saving a lot of money, actually. Yeah. Meanwhile, we also have a side project called Gigacross, which you probably will not read.
Not now anyway.
It's mostly writing practice, but it's also idea fodder stuff.
It's hilariously, because it's just idea fodder, and because a lot of it is, I don't want to say mindless, but a lot of judgment-free writing, in the sense that we're like, we're the only two that are going to be reading this for a while. Sans, I think, maybe 2 readers that we've shared it with. It's the thing we write the most on, but it's also the thing that we put the most effort into, because we can throw things at it, see what sticks, and then pull that back out and drag it into the varying base projects that these things are a part of.
These things come from, yeah.
I can say for a fact that when we started the thing that turned into Gigacross forever ago.
That was back when we were still...
That was back when we were still roommates. That was a thing that vastly improved, I think, it at the very least improved one of my stories that I'm currently working on. And it also helped us find and plug a bunch of issues with one of your stories when those issues kind of came up.
More than just that story too.
Yeah. So we've got Gigacross as one of our quote unquote side projects. We've got a couple of other different things that we're working on. For right now, my main thing is I'm trying to put my head into music a little bit right now. I've got a side project as an audio engineer for a given band. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the name of the band yet, but it's a thing that'll be mentioned at some point when I am legally allowed to mention that, hey, I'm audio engineering for this band. I am also working on a lot of my own music stuff right now. In theory, I've got an album out that you have been nagging me about for a while to finish.
Hey, I'm just trying to get you on the bandwagon.
I mean, I have in theory been on it for a while, but at the same time, I also have not done music stuff in a significant while. But we're working on that.
It's a motivation thing, not a nagging thing.
Kind of.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
I mean, at the same time, you must have been like, "Hey, I want to hear more stuff. Can you make more stuff?" That's
just because I really like your music.
Aw, thank you. But yeah, I have the album Songs in the Metaverse, which I'm working on. Oh, correction, first album of a series of albums called Songs in the Metaverse that I'm working on.
Just might as well describe what that is a little bit.
Basically, well, do we want to go into what the metaverse is? Because that's a thing.
Just describe like rudimentary.
Okay, basically because Gigacross and our stories as a whole, I should mention this. Our stories as a whole take place in a larger scale, multi-universal setting.
Yeah.
And I'm just pulling bits and pieces, characters, names, places, stuff like that, and just giving them a theme, a song, a soundtrack of some kind, and throwing it all in one place. What about you? What's your current personal project of sorts?
Current personal project is going to be Skya Hates You. Aside from the degree.
Yeah.
The current personal product is something called Skya Hates You, which, surprise, surprise, is a Homestuck fan fiction. That's never been done before. But
wow, that was loud. That one was loud enough I could hear it.
Yeah, it is currently storming outside.
I should mention this is going to be an unusual episode in many ways, just because first off, they're going to be super spoiled by your audio
quality. Oh, of course.
Quality.
I would record on a Turtle Beach.
They're going to be super bummed out by my audio quality later, just because I don't have my cloud lifter on this thing right now. But yeah, we're recording on a set of analog mics, and we're also sitting face to face from each other.
Which does not happen often.
Yeah, you live in Massachusetts, I live on Long Island, New York. So there's distance between us most of the time. So
yeah.
But we are currently both sitting in a room in southern Florida right now.
Yeah.
And it is very thunderstormy out right now.
I think it's actually more like eastern Florida.
Ish.
Florida-ish.
Florida-ish. We'll go with that. But yeah, we got completely rained on at Busch Gardens earlier today, and
that was kind of a bummer.
It was a bummer, but it was also kind of fun.
Yeah.
I need to tell you the Beach Jam story, and what we'll do is we'll do that after we get through all the major questions, and I'll tack that on as an Easter egg at the end of this episode.
Right. Okay.
All right, so you've got Skya Hates You as your main thing. I've read some of it actually so far. I like it.
Yeah, the main thing with it is I read bits of pieces of Homestuck, and I got to one particular point where I was just like, yeah, I can't stand the way this is written.
Goal plot is bad.
Well, I can't stand the way this is written, but I like the lore and I like some of the characters. So I was just sitting there and I was thinking, what could I do? What could I do with this? What could I do with this differently to make it, interesting to my tastes? Because I think both of us have always been firm believers in the philosophy of make what you want to see.
Absolutely.
Which is a philosophy that other people in the scene have, but I don't think that those said people also are working on business, the business aspect of things, which I hope is going to give us a bit of an edge.
Some of them are, but not all of them are, in the sense that they're running their own things. The one person that jumps to mind is Casey Neistat, but Casey Neistat's running something very different from what we're doing. But yeah. Also, as for like write what you want, like you can attest to how many of my stories have dragons because I think dragons are really cool.
Yep.
So I think I have 2 stories that don't involve dragons out of.
Well, you better fix that.
Don't tempt me.
All right. So normally, I think this would be the part where we would do a reflective segment. However, this is the first episode.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to do that.
Normally, what we do is we take a bit from the last episode and we,
have a look at it.
Play some of our own audio, and listen to what we've said and comment on how things are right now. I think we've already gone over, how we're feeling at the present. I think we're both pretty confident about things. So I think we can skip this segment for now.
Mostly just because, basically in this particular case, the reason we wouldn't be doing that is because it's already half baked into the introduction.
Pretty much,
a lot of our introductions, like, hey,
our backstory.
Exactly.
For lack of a better word.
For lack of many better words, but I think that's the way to put it.
Yeah.
So what was the next section you had us lined up for?
I forgot. So the thing is, we're kind of ad-libbing this right now. We don't have as much of a format as I think we discussed we should have.
Well, I did initially pitch this as a very kind of like, 2 guys sitting down and talking format podcast.
Which is a decently popular format.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Hello Internet, No Dumb Questions, Cortex.
We're looking at
the Unmade podcast, kind of like some of these have themes, but a lot of them are just like, 2 guys sit down, people sit down and talk about things, how they want to talk about things. So yeah.
Oh, I remember now. This section is supposed to be our current obsessions and influences.
Okay.
So you can go first with this one. Or do you need me to go first?
I mean, I could go in a bunch of different places with this.
Just stick with your right now.
Okay.
Don't go all the way back, but right now.
Fair, right now. So the 2 main things I've been messing with a lot. I've been watching a bunch of like Andrew Huang stuff and a bunch of Jeremy Blake stuff from the YouTube channel Red Means Recording. And I've also been going back and like kind of trawling some of Heinbach and AA Batteries YouTube channels, and a lot of musical inspiration drawn from a lot of different places over there. Also, on top of that, I also recently got a circuit mono station, and I've been obsessing over that thing a lot.
Which we are not going to try to explain because then he's not going to stop talking for a while.
Yeah, we'd be here for 2 hours.
We don't have that kind of time.
3 hours. We'd be here for many hours. Yeah, it's a crazy complicated synthesizer, but it's very, very nice. I am at some point going to be making a brief video breaking down. Like I did a jam with it on my YouTube channel last week. And I'll be making a video breaking that down a little bit, and then probably a video saying, "Hey, here's what this is. Here's how to use it."
All right.
Yay! Thanks. So at some point, if that comes out before this goes up, then I'll link to it.
I think on my end, current influences involve mostly Doom. Mostly Doom right now. Doom.
Doom's good.
Yeah, Doom is interesting because it holds up surprisingly well to modern shooters, which I find fascinating. And also, I haven't played a shooter in a very long time.
I mean, yes, but at the same time, Doom is Doom.
Yeah,
even new Doom is still like old Doom.
It's still old. Yep.
What's old is new, and what's new is old again.
So, in addition to that, there's also. Nope, it's just that.
Just Doom?
Just that.
Yeah,
for unless I want to go much further back.
Fair. We can just say.
Oh wait,
Doom
no. There's also how I built this.
Oh, that's true.
That's true.
Burning through that podcast, and you've been trying to push me to listen to it for quite a few weeks now.
Couple weeks now. I started listening to How I Built This Podcast, and other podcasts as well, which I can plug. I can plug those here as well.
We'll link to it.
Yeah, we'll link to them. How I Built This Podcast is sort of like this, but each episode is a different entrepreneur. There's also, I've been getting into creepy stuff lately, and for that, check out Aaron Mankey's Lore. I check out Aaron Mankey's Lore and the Chilluminati podcast with Jesse Cox, Alex Fossiani, and Mathis Games. They're both very good, and they cover some of the same topics. Both very good for different reasons, of course.
Yeah, Lore's been on my list for a while as well.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into them too much, but I will say those are where my current influences are going. And I'm also not saying
weird stuff.
You need to listen to them, but they're good.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I will mention one more fictional obsession of mine, which is I got back into Halo again recently.
There we go. Yeah, he's starting to push me to want to play Halo again.
I picked up an Xbox One from a friend of mine because he was getting rid of his old one, but it was still functional. He was just getting a faster one, and I was just like, hey, I have a next gen console or current gen console, I guess, because it's been out for like years and years, and it's gonna be out of date again next year anyway, and I'm gonna have to get a new one. Oh no! But point being, I have one now, and one of the first things I did was I was like, I need games for this. What games have I always wanted to play? And Halo 5 had looked fun for me for a while. I've been watching the Achievement Hunter guys play it for forever. But I was like, okay, but if I'm going to do that... I also haven't played Halo 2. And Master Chief Collection comes with Halo 2. So I bought Master Chief Collection. I was just like, I want to play the whole set of games. So that's what I'm currently doing. I beat Halo 1, I beat Halo 2, I'm in the middle playing Halo 3. Halo 3 stands up surprisingly good to the test of time. I'm going to be playing Halo 4, and then I'm going to be giving Halo 5 my first run through. And I'm going to be crossing my fingers and praying, because I've heard it is very hard on higher difficulties.
Oh boy. So yeah, I lied earlier. This is the part where we would be doing a retrospective.
We'll I know there's a lot of like jumping around. This edit's probably going to be super nonchalant as well,
super janky.
But yeah, it's
because like this. I think we want this to be more of a casual podcast.
Absolutely. I mean, this is designed to be us checking in and
not just checking in with you guys, the third chair, but also with each other and ourselves, because we want this to be a record of. We're trying to build a record of how we got to where we are, wherever that might actually end up being.
If we start chronicling our progress, we might actually make more progress. Kind of mindset. It's kind of the mindset behind this a little bit.
That's kind of the mindset. Yeah, we'll motivate ourselves to do better.
Yeah, and on top of that, the other half of this is just like, hey, at some point we're just gonna have talking sessions in here, just because. We have some interesting conversations sometimes, and it's about time we caught some of them on mic.
And that's also, the fact that this just tends to happen with us. It's unavoidable. We're chatterboxes, so.
Oh yeah, you stick us in a room, and we will not shut up.
Not shut up.
We've had multiple times on this Florida trip had people sit there going like, okay, can you two please shut up for like 10 seconds so we can get a word in edgewise for like 5 minutes and you guys can go back to talking.
Yep.
And yeah, we'll sit there and we'll feel bad about it, and then we'll forget about it after that 10 seconds later, and then we will immediately jump back into the conversation. So like, aha, we thought of a thing. So
what else have we been doing lately? Well, we just came up with a little game that you guys can try yourself at if you have a friend.
This is the very fun if you've got a writer friend. You don't get much whiter than the two of us.
Nope. I'm actually literally pink.
I suppose I get a little whiter than you, but only because I'm tanning. Like, wow, I've tanned significantly throughout today.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah. Why don't you explain the game? Because you're the one that came up with the
game.
Right,
I'm the one that came up with the game and the one who keeps adding rules to it.
Kind of.
Yeah. All right. So the game starts like this. One of you, player A will give player B a character name, and player B will have to give a fact about that character that has not been that the first person does not know about, or they can give player B one of their own characters, and then player B has to give them a headcanon about that character.
We've had some quality ones come out
We
in the
have
past
had
couple
some
days
quality ones
since that rule got added. That rule was an addition of since I landed here. No, it was an addition to last week, I think.
Last week.
But regardless, since I've landed here and then after we met up, we've had some quality ones.
There have been some quality ones that I may actually accept into canon. Then there's the third. Then after that, the player B will go and it'll go back and forth like this.
Yeah.
There's also been a new rule that's been added this morning, where if the player A can pick two characters, and then the player B either can do them separately or in relation to each other. Give one fact in relation to each other, and then player B has to go and give another duo.
Yeah. So
that hasn't happened too much yet, but
not yet. It mostly happened that one time as an accident.
I think it's going to start happening a little bit more.
A little bit more.
Probably tomorrow.
But yeah, it was the what was the asterisk we put at that, or not the asterisk, the clarification, like the footnote we put at that was this doesn't have to be like hey, these two characters are romantically involved kind of thing. This can also
really
be
be any kind of relation to each other. They could be rivals. They could be
bitter enemies. They can be friends. They could be
very close friends. They could just not know each other at all.
Like it can be as involved as you want it to be. That's the fun of the game.
It's pretty vague, but it's been interesting.
It has been. What else? I mean, on one hand, I feel like that's kind of short, but on the other hand, this is also the first episode. We don't have.
This is the first episode. We don't have too much. Do we want to do plugs?
We can plug a couple places. That's true. You did talk about plugging a couple creative artists.
No, I meant plug ourselves.
Oh, we can plug ourselves.
We're already at like 25, probably half an hour.
Yeah, we're about 30 minutes in.
Okay, that's probably good for a first episode.
All right. Well, hang on. All right, let's plug ourselves first, and then, as the bonus story, I got to tell the Beach Jam story.
Okay.
On air.
All right. So, first of all, I am HummusMan300 on YouTube. I mostly have made gaming videos there, but I kind of stopped after a while. I've moved to See Painful on Twitch. I think I'm HummusMan300 on both Twitter and Tumblr.
I am double checking on Tumblr. You're Charlesard, I think.
Yeah, but I think the actual username is something different. Or no, I'm Charles. Yeah, Charlesard with 2 R's.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got a couple different places. I'm going to plug the ones I use the most. I've got a small, slightly vaguely active YouTube channel. It's my stage name is Backspin, so that's what it is.
You can probably find it from my YouTube channel if you need to.
Yeah, worst comes to worst. It might end up changing to reflect my Bandcamp because someone on Bandcamp already got the Backspin URL, so it might change to Backspin ZX by the time this goes up. On Twitter, I am at BackspinZX. On Instagram, I'm also BackspinZX. And my Bandcamp, should you want to pick up any of my wonderful musics,
do it.
Is backspinzx.bandcamp.com. For right now, I'm not even charging for any of my music right now. Like, everything that's up there is up there, I think, completely for free.
Or you can pay if you want to.
You can, but I don't really expect anyone to. I think a total of 4 people have done that so far. I know 3 of them. So, but yeah, it's all up there for right now. I've got everything I did for January of this year up there. I've got my first full-length album, Cyber Soul, is up there. I've got the Stranded EP, which I did forever ago. I've got a bunch of singles up there. Yeah, some of them might be playing underneath this podcast, or I might have done my own section of music for this podcast underneath. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Not us. Who knows what evil? Oh, no, we're not doing that.
No,
we're not doing that.
Anyways, so yeah, I'll plug relevant links in show notes / description somewhere.
All right, as well as links with to the other people we've mentioned in this in the influences section.
Yeah. So, normally that would be the end of the podcast, but I promised a beach jam story.
No, wait, we need the jingle to move into it.
I can edit the jingle in, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But jingle goes here. Okay, cool. Now, moving on. Beach Jam of, was it 2012 or 2013? I don't remember. So, for context, the reason I'm telling you this story is because I mentioned it earlier to you while we were getting rained on like crazy at Busch Gardens.
All right, yeah, it was bad. I had to take off my glasses because I could not see.
And
I'm like a -12, so I ended up having to lead.
I literally had to hold your hand
to get to the exit.
you out of the theme park because you could not see and you're blind as a bat without your glasses.
Yep, it's bad.
Yeah. But it was pouring. And this reminded me of the point where, so I used to be in the Boy Scouts. And there was an event that happened. I think they stopped doing this a couple years after this happened. I think there was like one more year I couldn't make it. And then after that, we just stopped going or whatever. Either we stopped going or Wildwood stopped hosting it. But Beach Jam was a thing where not all of, but a lot of the Boy Scout troops from New Jersey would get together and basically they'd end up heading to Wildwood. And for anybody that hasn't been there, doesn't know anything, I grew up in Jersey, by the way. For the most part in Jersey. Like I'm from Jersey originally. I live in New York right now, but I'm originally from Jersey. Yeah, for anybody unfamiliar, Wildwood has this massive boardwalk. It's huge. It's got theme park rides, coasters. I think it's got 3 different roller coasters. It's got a bunch of. It's got I think it's got a Ferris wheel still. I don't know how much of this is still there actually after Sandy came in and hit the place pretty hard. But yeah, it had a huge boardwalk at the time. Games, like a literal acre, square acre arcade. And the whole idea was, hey, you take the scouts all there, you'd have them wander around the boardwalk, they'd be able to go on all the rides and everything like that. And then at the end of the night, you head down to your beach and to the beach, and you pitch your tent and you sleep there. And then the next day, you get up and you hit the boardwalk again, go on all the rides and all that, and then you go back down to your tent, you sleep again
for a couple days,
and then yeah, exactly, you just camp out for a couple days. Normally, it's all cool, perfectly fine. 2012 was the one year I went. We went in early September, and it was really cool. A lot of stuff happened that week. A lot of really weird stuff involving people. But point was, me and my friend at the time, Max, and another friend of mine, currently still friends with Nick, we all kind of wandered the boardwalk, had a good time, hit up some of the roller coasters. I went on that one I mentioned to you earlier at Busch Gardens, where it was 3 loop-de-loops in a row that went frontwards and then right back again backwards, and I blacked out on that, and that was not fun.
But I got him to ride a loopy-doop this time.
You did.
Small victories.
Yeah. So the thing may have something to do with why I take coasters way more seriously now than I used to, in terms of that looks scary. Because I used to be like, oh, that looks scary, fun, and now I go, oh, that looks scary, ugh, not fun. But point being, we hit up the entire boardwalk. We had a lot of fun, played a lot of games, went on a lot of rides. So yeah. We head down to the beach, we pitch our tent, and everything's fine. We all go to sleep. It's me, Max, and Nick to a tent. Yeah, we all end up in our sleeping bag. We all end up sleeping. I wake up when, now at the time, in an attempt to save space and save the amount of stuff I would have to carry, I just packed up my backpack and used my backpack as my pillow. That turned out to be my saving grace here, because I brought 2 electronics with me. My iPod Shuffle and my LG Chocolate Generation 2 cell phone.
Oh, goodness. Wow.
Yeah, this was 2012, man.
Right. I keep forgetting that 2012 was a year that happened.
Yeah. This was a while ago. So I wake up when my chocolate vibrates against the base of my skull like a jackhammer and jolts me awake a little bit. Because it is in the pocket on the front of my backpack, one of those tiny little pockets. It's literally directly underneath my head. So this thing, like, when this thing vibrates, when this thing vibrates, it vibrated my entire skull. So I'm awake now, and I slowly, like, I'm all, groggy, and like, what's going on? I flip myself over in the sleeping bag and get my phone out, look at it. It's one of the scoutmasters saying, we're all grouping up by, I think it was like the bathrooms or whatever, grouping up over here. And I was like, huh? Why are we grouping up in places? Huh? This is the point where I start regaining consciousness, or at least, becoming more aware of my surroundings. I first go, why is it so cold? The next thing I go is, why is everything so wet? I flip back over onto my front, and the entire tent is flooded to the point where I was floating in the water. Not very much, but
enough.
4 or 5 inches of water was in the tent. Soaked everything. So what I did was went, oh, that's not good. I opened up the front pocket of my, I make sure to zip the tent, by the way, is also open. So I close the tent. I look around, notice that nobody else is in the tent. I unzip the front bit of my backpack. I get out the driest pair of clothes I had. I get changed real quick. And I inspect and notice, okay, cell phone's good. iPod and headphones are good. I'm going to stick these in my pockets. And I'm going to step outside. It is pouring. Completely pouring. Beach is completely flooded. Everyone's running around all over the place. And I'm just there's just me stepping out into the rain. And I'm just like, so this is the thing. Okay. Where's everyone else? And I start checking on the couple of tents for the other people in my the other scouting people in my troop.
You didn't think to look where they were grouping up?
Well, I mean, this is before it was grouping up. I was like, is anybody else here, or is it just me? It was just me. So the very next thing I do is I head over to the place where all the people are, and the thing I am greeted with is not, oh, hey, glad you're okay, or, oh, hey, we didn't know, whatever. It's just, oh, you're awake now. And I was like, yeah.
You're
Nick
still
and Max,
alive.
Yeah, basically, Nick and Max are just like, oh, you're okay, hi. And I was like, hey, yeah, what's going on? And they're just like, okay, we tried to wake you up, but you really didn't want to wake up. You really didn't want to wake up. So we kind of just left you there for the time being, and we're gonna come back for you, but now you're here, so no, we don't have to. And I was like, how long ago was that? And they were like, it was an hour. I think this was it was 15 minutes or whatever. The Scoutmaster ended up saying oh yeah, that was an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, they weren't coming back.
It was so bad how crazy the rain was. This was at 4 in the morning.
4 in the morning is a time nobody should be up.
Yeah. So this is at 4 in the morning. And it was bad enough that people were trying to dry everything to the point where people had to come in and turn off the hand dryers in the bathrooms because they were just being used nonstop to try and dry stuff, and they were starting to burn out. That's how consistent these things were on. They were just maintenance people were just these aren't supposed to be running that often, that high, that often. So we're just off they go. And it was a thing that everyone kind of was just miserable about at the time. Except me, I guess. I was only a little miserable about it. I was just cool, rain, nice. Also, everything's wet, and that's a mild inconvenience. And also, all these people seem kind of miserable, but rain. But yeah, like we got through it, waited until the rain stopped raining, the sun came back out that morning, and we had to go back to the campsite. And everyone collectively, like this was on Saturday. Beach Jam was supposed to last until Sunday. Everyone collectively just went, nope, we're going home. And so we tried to break down the tents. We had to get all the water out of them as best we could. And we were just like, all right, we're going to have to set these all up when we get back to Jersey. I say back to Jersey, as though we're already in Jersey. But when we get back home, we're just going to have to set these all up in the basement of the particular church that we used for Scout and stuff. Just to let them all dry out so they didn't like get like moldy or whatever.
Mildew, yeah.
Yeah. And the best part about this was everyone, save me, because I had the synthetic sleeping bag, brought all their fancy, expensive sleeping bags that had like cotton or down in them. Those things weighed like tons because of the amount of water they absorbed.
Oh, goodness.
It was bad. But we managed to get all those like into the one pickup truck we had with everything. And we just broke everything down. We tried to get as much water out of some stuff as we could. But eventually we just threw everything in the back of the pickup truck and we just went home. And when we got home, everyone was kind of miserable because it was like, I've been up since 4 in the morning. I got rained out. Beach Jam was supposed to be fun. But within, like, I think 2 weeks, it was a thing that we were just all collectively, we would be like, hey, remember that time we got rained out at Beach Jam? And we'd just all be like, it was a good time. It was a good time. That was funny. It was a good time now. Not a good time then. It's a good time now.
All right. So that is a story about how how awful times can become good times.
Like, I'm telling you, man, the thing about us getting rained out at Busch Gardens, that's the thing in a week we're going to be looking back on and we're going to be laughing our asses about it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, that was story time. I don't know if we're going to be doing that every episode, but it might be kind of cool to have, like, a short little story at the end of after the end of each episode so that we could just, like...
In this case, I'm just trying to pad it out for time a little bit, but for the most part, I can see us just talking about a thing as like our thing.
Just like telling a story. I think we should do story time after the end of the episode. And like you can leave and we'll do the outro, we'll do the little jingle, and we'll do story time after that.
Or something like that with story time or the talking about
the thing. And you could just skip to the next episode if you don't want to hear story time. If you binge podcasts like I do.
There you go.
All right. So that is the first episode of the Moonshot Podcast. And I guess we'll be seeing you all next month.
That almost definitely piqued my mic. Hang on.
All right.
Yep, that piqued the mic. Goodbye.